why do you want to coach? What contribution, what difference do you want to make?
What's going on, everybody? My name is John Stamper, and excited to be back for episode 6 of The Compass with Dr. Matthew Norton, a show about guiding growth through coaching. For those of you that have subscribed for, I guess I could say, the audio podcasters, right? Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't yet, would love to have you subscribe to this podcast. And then, of course, for all of you that follow Dr. Matthew Norton on all of his social media channels, all the videos and all of that are up on all of those. So love to have you check them out. But Matthew, it's good to have you back. How you doing?
Thank you, John. Doing great. Ready for another exciting episode.
I love it. All right. So this one, everybody, we're going to do a little bit of dreaming today. Yes, are. And at first blush, Matthew, I'm sure you get a room full of 20 people and you say that we're going to dream, you get probably a lot of reactions, right? I mean, in some regards, it's okay. Really, like, we don't have like practical tips on like how it can be successful. But as you know so well, and this has been a big part of your experience, dreaming is a big part of experience because it's the vision. It's kind of where a lot of this starts. And I know that's what you want to get into today. So I don't know where you want to foundationally start with this, but I figure you'd know what direction to take us. So let's start there.
Yes, living the dream. We'll start with that expression because that's kind of a favorable one, right? I mean, not as you and I were chatting before, not everybody is necessarily dreaming about a coaching career, but we do like the idea of living the dream. So, I mean, how do we get to that? So, some of you listening are already coaches, and others are thinking seriously about coaching as a career direction. But either way, my first question for you is, what would the coaching career of your dreams look like? One of the most powerful benefits of being a coach is being free to design a business that optimally suits you, your vision, and your life. So where does it start? It starts with dreaming. So whether you're just now looking into coaching or you've been at it for a while and possibly wish to make some changes, there are a number of meaningful things that we can dream about, which can help you be more intentional about building an amazing coaching career. So that's kind of, to me, the foundational place just to set a framework, John.
Okay. And so understanding that foundational piece, where does one start in this process when they think about, creating their ideal coaching business and they start on the dreaming side? Where's a good place to begin?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first, at the deepest level, why do you want to coach? What contribution, what difference do you want to make? What is it that stirs your passion? What's your sense of purpose in doing this work? Why do you even care? So frequently this why question goes back to earlier life experiences, maybe something that you've had to overcome earlier on in life. And I know, John, you and I have talked a little bit, a little bit of my story from the past, but my company being called People Plus Purpose is on purpose. And both of those elements were either absent or just confusing to me as a child growing up. I grew up in a broken family, and I lacked clarity of any sort of meaning, direction, purpose for my life, but also people relationships. So I was searching, I was seeking to feel more connected, to be more in relationship with people. It wasn't happening. So it became a focus of mine. And then as things changed, as I got older and was accomplishing those things, making great progress, had become a doctor and gotten married and adopted my first wife's twin daughters, and then she had a heart attack and died less than 3 years after getting married. And all of that really challenged and kind of set me back, not surprisingly, for a bit. And I had to get to that place of surrender to where there was a specific day where I said, if I could have a life that felt like it was worth living again, I would dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people have the breakthroughs they need to be able to clarify and live the life that they were designed to live. And so to me, that's an important starting point, is if you can get in touch with your past, your story, your why, that it gives power to what you do. And that why aspect also, I think, is powerfully informed by one of my core four assessments, which is the inspiration sources assessment, which really looks at 7 different C's of inspiration to say what are the driving motivators in my life. And it really could help many of you to see where's the power in moving forward in a coaching career.
So, knowing you for as long as I have and the great work that you do, my next question is, uh, they establish their why and what's next. But before we get there, the reason why I shared that is because I have often found, Matthew, that I see people that are either or in coaching or wanting to get into coaching, and two things kind of happen. They know what's next, meaning like there's some tangible reason to why, like they look at the marketplace or they see an article like, oh man, coaching is on the rise and I need to get in coaching and I can make a lot of money with coaching, right? But then they haven't always taken the time to do what you just spoke about, which is why would you even want to do it, right? Because that's going to shine through eventually. Flip flop that, which is what you just shared, which is okay. Like I really know why I want to help people, but when then I get to that what's next step, it's like where do I even start? Like I mean, I actually have to figure out steps with this, and people are going to want me to build a framework for them. Like how does that start? So the dreaming process, I think, for all of us can be a fun exercise, and when we establish our why, but I think, what I was going to ask you next is what is next and how does one move forward in this dreaming process and actually make it a reality?
Yeah, that's we have to move the why, begin to move the dream forward into some action. So after why comes what? More specifically, what will you focus on in your coaching? A beginning place here can be to notice when you have actually found yourself excited about helping others. Times where you felt some extra energy or a sense of reward. Um, Maybe you can notice what value you were bringing to other people when that occurred. Um, Another thing you might consider is what types of breakthroughs or advancements were you a part of with people, that you felt like there was some success. Um, Another angle of this could be what have others said to you that has affirmed your ability to do this. That was important for me. I had people start to tell me, you seem to be really good at noticing things about me and having some wisdom to bring. Something that, I mean, you guide well and tend to draw things out of me, and I can see more possibilities. And so when I heard things like that, it would be, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe I could be successful at doing this. So maybe there's an innate talent or a strength area that somebody has recognized in you. Maybe an area of focus where you've been developing some specific skills. So, for example, again, for me, how did that play out? Uh, Earlier on in my practice career, uh, I started using assessments. I had a mentor who was very much drawn to the whole brain science, human behavior, psychology aspect of providing care for patients. And so he got me into looking at different sorts of human assessments. I proceeded to get certified in that. And I've spent 26 years working with assessments. So when I started my coaching business, it was it seemed important. And my wife affirmed that. Again, another thing of somebody else seeing something in you. My wife said, that's something that you were really good at and you love. That should be a central piece of what you're doing. And I thought, oh, you're right. I mean, how could I possibly think otherwise? And so it, because of those experiences, began to help me consider the what pieces. What was this going to look like? Who did I want to work with in that area? And so for me, it became a matter of how could I use assessments to guide recognizing things, unique things in people. How could this be personalized? How could I really get to the core of who somebody is and have that inform how I help them have breakthroughs in the places where they are blocked, or to be able to move forward and capitalize on opportunities. So those are some key elements there, but also continuing with the what focus. Another part is just what area of business or life do you want to coach? I'm primarily a people relationship guy. I love helping people see and understand themselves better. Again, back to using assessments to accomplish that, helping them see others better, understand them better, so that hopefully we can do life and business better together. I think we need other people, but sometimes we're not always doing life better with other people. And that can be anything from the joy that I get in providing marriage coaching and helping couples have breakthroughs by seeing themselves and others better, but also the same principles apply in the business world with leaders and teams. So, but for any of you, might the focus be more on guiding ideas and innovations in business, or possibly your focus would be more system process design or improvement that you would coach on? Maybe more in inspiring and directing action strategies or breakthrough progress for people in business. Maybe it's relationship enhancement, which is a lot of my work, as I was mentioning. That could be in communication or conflict resolution. Maybe strengths-based contributions in leader and team roles, or helping others advance maybe their network connections or collaborations. So there's just a ton of options for how that what part of the business could play out. And the what piece is greatly informed by the behavior and thinking style assessments that I have in my core four: cognitive styles and action approach. So each of the different assessment dimensions can inform different parts of the designing of your own coaching career, in addition to helping guide how you help other people in your coaching.
Yeah. And what I'm most excited about, whether someone is a new coach or they're thinking of coaching and they've learned about this program that you've put together, is the clarity that I feel like a lot of them need in the early days. Cause like we talked about, I'm passionate about something. Okay. I kind of get an idea of like how I should do this. But as you know, Matthew, it's like so often you work with people in this space, it's very broad based. I mean, you see this happen a lot, right? With when somebody asks somebody like, what do you do? And then unless that person has great clarity, can tell you like in 60 seconds, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And so, and I feel like in coaching, it could absolutely do that. And so I think this whole what aspect of the dreaming piece, and like you mentioned, helping them identify specifically like how they're helping who they work with, is key. And I know you help people with that. Is there anything more in this what category, or can we move on to the next?
I think that's kind of the what piece. I think the next part after why and what is whom. Just to keep it on the W. I had somebody the other day with I said something and it had three P's in it, and they went, "Wow, you really like P's, people plus purpose." And I forget what the other part was that I was talking about with them, but I said, "Yeah, I get these alliterations get going." But so, whom do you want to coach? Is it definitely more in business, or is it more personal, more life coaching, say, more personal development? Or is it some hybrid blend? Because I'm primarily a business coach, leadership, workplace culture coach is how I say. Um, that is coaching through the lens of strengths based assessments. So it's more personalized. That's how I would frame mine in less than 60 seconds. Um, but it could be a hybrid blend. It can be you are working on personal breakthroughs in business. You could decide I want to help uh, business owners, or whether that's small or large. I want to work with executives. I want to work more with teams, maybe. um, I'm I prefer to go deeper, maybe with specific things that would help men have breakthroughs or women advance in their business. um, is there a specific industry where you either have the most experience already, maybe you have relationships there already, maybe you just happen to be more interested in that specific industry and would love to learn more and possibly specialize there. So I think, and a lot of that would be informed by, back to that why again, why this matters to you is likely going to kind of lead into the what pieces that you're going to focus on, and then the whom you want to work with, because that what and whom are going to help you fulfill the why that you're doing this for in the first place. So is this going to be maybe startups that you would emphasize, or would you rather work with developed companies more, where they've gotten past that startup phase but are running into some specific challenges for scaling or for sustainability, or maybe new products, new services, new ideas? So again, a lot of this comes back to where do you feel like your most passionate and skilled contribution is, and that should inform whom it is that you're working with. And then maybe one more question area that I think is, what do you want this to look like for you in your coaching business? Is this your coaching business? Are you going to build your own coaching business from scratch? Have you already done that? Maybe some of you that are listening, maybe there's some changes you want to make, but that's already what you have going. But for those people uh, that are not there and you're still thinking about coaching, or you're getting started, do you want to be a solopreneur coach? Is this you alone doing this? Is that the plan? Uh, Near term, longer term? Would you prefer to coach as part of a team of coaches, maybe alongside others with different areas of expertise? So maybe you have your own what and whom, and somebody else you're working alongside has their own different areas of interest and expert strengths and skills. Do you want it to be possibly you're not bearing the full entrepreneurial burden, maybe, or challenge, and you want to work as part of an established coaching company? That could also be a benefit. um, so there's a lot of different options as to how you structure it. How does that relate to the life and lifestyle that you want to build? How many days are you going to be doing this? How many hours? How does this fit in with the rest of the life that you'd like to have? Are you going to be coaching even with on-site elements, or are you going to do all of this virtually, or some hybrid blend of that? So these are all different considerations. But again, back to the initial topic, John, is, if you want to design the coaching career of your dreams, then we need to dream these things out, to picture ourselves into the future uh, with this business. If you arrived at your Emerald City coaching destination, what is the win? How would you describe it? What does it feel like? What are you doing? With whom? And how does that fit into an overall life that you'd like to live with family, etc.? So I guess my parting conclusion on this would be to get some paper and a pen, open up a blank Word doc, whichever you'd prefer to do, and begin dreaming and writing. To me, I found that to be one of the best things that I could possibly do, was to just just a blank slate and start with an idea, start with a question, and see what comes.
We're going to do a little exercise here. We're going to do a little dreaming because as I was hearing you share all of that, I still feel like there's never been a better time, Matthew, with where people are with their time and how much more they're valuing their time. And what I mean by that is that whatever it is that you're passionate about, whatever it is that you would coach somebody on, the odds are is that there are solutions out there that they need help with. And so
Mm,
the exercise of dreaming is like, I'm just thinking about like, who would have ever, there are people out there that use Excel, that need to use Excel, right? And probably if they had a coach that was really good at it, loved it, and could help them. I mean, I realize I'm distilling this down to like a very nuanced thing, but I hope it kind of tells a story of what you're talking about, which is like, somebody could love doing that. I just don't know how many people realize, Matthew, that there's an opportunity for those individuals to build their own coaching business to
mm,
help people with that specific solution and then use your framework to kind of build a business out of it. Like I have a colleague of mine that I've been spending some time with. And over the last couple of months, like we just worked backwards, like you mentioned, of like where she wanted to be financially, like how she wanted to help people. And it was amazing how, like, as she went through those different steps that you talked about, the clarity just came out from that, and then building that roadmap was there. So dreaming is fun. And then dreaming is practical when somebody says, okay, I love your dream, but how are you going to make it happen? So,
right.
in regards to that, like any final thoughts about this, because I love this topic and I think it flows nicely with this podcast.
Yeah, I have, those are good points. And you're right. It can be very nuanced, and it doesn't need to be, like I wouldn't even probably think of certain things. I wouldn't think of things to even mention that are so much not like me, like what you mentioned as far as the Excel spreadsheet that I would be coaching on that. That anybody who knows me well would go, ha, 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 that's silly. He's not going to do that, or I wouldn't really want to hire him to coach me on that. So we all have areas where it's like we would definitely not thrive coaching, but I honestly believe that we all have genius to offer. We all have strengths. We all have experiences. We all have places that we're passionate about, or we certainly could locate that passion. And whether you're going to be a coach or not, and I think it's important for everybody listening that you would locate some passion to spend your days engaged in. But I think there is something for everybody. And uh, the more that you can tune into what those things are in you that make your heart sing, and there are people who desperately need, very much need, and would welcome and would pay you for those things that make your heart sing to help them move forward. So I think that's a great way to end it, John.
Yeah, I think that's the main point, right? I think that with a lot of stuff like this. I mean, people hear the word coaching and they assume that you're looking to go coach an NFL football team, right? Like, well, I mean, if I'm going to be a coach, like in my mind, like that's what a coach is. But the reality is that there are so many different challenges that people have, and then I think that when you actually get into the niched spaces and you build a framework around it, and listen, this is happening right now, right, Matthew? I mean, it would blow your mind to go out and look at some of these different platforms out there, people that coach on website building and all this stuff, like, and so but I think what I'm excited about what you've done is that for those individuals that are on the fence, either are coaching or they're brand new, you've created that framework, right? And I think you can save them a lot of time and a lot of headache with what you've learned over the years, which I think that's what's most exciting. And that being said, as we kind of wrap episode 6, I know that you're putting together the pieces of a LinkedIn group, and I'd love to have you kind of take this opportunity to kind of share how you are going to to start to expand your community to give people a place to ask you these questions and all that good stuff. So could you share some of that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love for everyone to hop over to either on LinkedIn or to Facebook. We have a group that we are forming there on both of those platforms that is entitled Your Coaching Career, from Launch to Mastery. And and that's the intent, is to be able to have it be a kind of a resource hub, connection, resources, next steps, and a blend of people who are just getting started or thinking about getting started, to be able to kind of connect, collaborate, get insights and wisdom from those that are much further down the road. But no matter where you are, even for those further down the road, there's always opportunity to rethink, to reinvent, to add a new element. And part of that can be, for some people, as you've heard me share, of just the value of using strengths-based assessments to help personalize the work that you're doing. But from those platforms and from those groups, John, then we're going to be launching an every other week live discussion group call, to where anybody can get on there and be able. We're going to share value, share tips and strategies, kind of from where to get going, and from there, and to be able to ask whatever questions you have, so you can keep moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's great that you've set those up. I think as we've spoke before, there's a lot of people that are on the fence that have a skill, have a passion. They want to help people. They just don't know where to start. And I think for
Right.
somebody like yourself who's been doing this for many, many years, I'm excited because I think you're going to, create that environment for them to, help them feel comfortable to be able to, share with others and build that community, which is great. So, Matthew, another great episode. Where can people learn more about the great work you're doing? Certainly people that are watching this that, want to either get some direction on coaching certification or anything like that. Like, just let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, I would encourage you to go get onto one of those groups, and the group on LinkedIn or Facebook, for one, and then also peoplepluspurpose.com is the website. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, is probably the best platform there. Check out what we're doing, also on blanking. um, Other
On all your
platforms.
social media, all your social media channels. Yes, Matthew is
Yeah.
everywhere. That's the goal.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Thank you. So, yeah, and you can also email me at drnorton at peoplepluspurpose.com if you have a question, or you want to find out more about the coach certification training program. That would be great as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, until next time, everybody, thanks for listening. Be sure to go subscribe to The Compass with Dr. Matthew Norton. And until next time, we'll see you then.